to stack or not to stack? That is my question. Hello everybody, welcome back. My name's Leo. Thank you for joining me here once again on this glorious day. Today we are going to be looking at macro focus stacking. Now this is something I do not do a lot of, but it is one of my most requested things to do. But there's going to be a bit of a spin to it here, because macro focus stacking has been a massive big part of macro for the last 2 or 3 years, where it's become more and more and more. People are depending on it like it's a life. But to me, it's just becoming a metabolic steroid that everybody thinks they've got to use to get the perfect picture. But is it? I don't really know. And that is my question. Do I need to focus stack or not? Now, I am going to be doing manual focus stacking today. I'm not going to be doing in-camera focus stacking. If you want to now know about in-camera focus stacking, the man to go to is Mr. Stuart Wood, my good friend. What he doesn't know about focus stacking isn't worth knowing, to be honest. He is absolutely 100% bang on with focus stacking. So if you want to do in-camera with a flash and one thing, and go and see Stuart. Trust me, he'll look after you. He's a top man. Tell him I sent you. Okay then, so what we're going to be doing is manual focus stacking, like I said. So we're going to be needing a lot more things to do manual focus stacking compared with what you would have normal wise, should I say. What we're going to need, for one, we're going to need definitely one of these. This is a macro focus rail. This is, this is from NiSi, absolutely brilliant. But these are a must. Well, they're a must because you can do handheld focus stacking. But the way I'm going to do it today, and my way is different to most ways, but this is just my opinion, my way I do it. And I thought I'd share it. Mine might be a little bit easier than somebody else's. We don't know. So we're going to need one of these. Any one or different one will do, like I said, but this is the NiSi one, absolutely built like a brick. And I do also use this for my everyday macro photography. If I'm doing a close-up image and I want to get it absolutely perfect and the focus perfect spot on, because this little angle at the side here allows me to pull it backwards and forwards. Every single turn that this does is 1 millimeter. This is why I tried to keep it on something I can see. So I'm going to keep this on 90 mil today, which is the centre of it really. So we'll keep it at 90 mil, like that. And we'll put it on 0. So we're going to need one of these. To hold one of these, if you've got a tripod, tabletop tripod or anything like that, you can mount them on top. This one is grippy, like I said, and it will, hold, but I'm going to put it onto my platypod because I know it's stable enough to hold it. On the bottom of these, I should have a thread that you can connect straight to your tripod or your Argus Swiss mount. So we're just going to gently put that on there. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I keep the angle at the back as well because I'm going to be turning it. So that is that. We're going to put the camera on top. Today I'm going to be using the OM1 Mark II along with a 90mm lens. Now this is more than capable of stacking, and it is good stacking inside the camera. But like I said, today we're going to do it manually, so people who've got Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Sony can all do the same thing. Why should we all? We should all be able to do the same thing. And like I said, I'm going to try and make this as beginner friendly as I can and not sound scary like a lot of people make it. So I'm just going to whack this straight on the top of there like that, and we're going to tighten it up. So now we've got our camera set up. Done. Subject. We need a little bit of a subject, don't we? I've got an old flower out the garden because I refuse to go and pay prices for anything else. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 different shots. I'm going to take a super close-up shot and I'm going to take a far away shot to see which one works out better, and just to show that it can be done, to basically, that's all it's going to be for. So we got that. I'm going to be putting a light into this on the Adaptalux Pod 3. Now the reason I'm doing this is just to give the image a bit more light, because when I do my settings in a minute, we ain't going to be at 100, 150, 200 or 250 of power where we can and forward it off. We're going to be doing a bit longer exposure, so we're going to need some light to compensate to help keep the ISO down and to help keep shutter speeds fairly high up as well. So I'm going to put that on there like that. That's enough light. That's perfect enough light. That's all we need, and that's virtually the setup what I'm going to be using today. It's like I said, we're going to be focusing, you know, through it, so not too bad. Right, get the camera back in. Now we're going to be on manual focus, not autofocus, because if you autofocus and move it again and move it again and move it again, it just isn't going to work. It's just going to keep, you know what I mean, looking around for everything. So it is important you put it on manual focus. Right, let me just put my glasses back on because I'm blind as a bat. So make sure you work your composition to get your composition exactly how you want it, because you don't want to be getting to the stage where you're just about to take a picture and you say, right now I'm doing a far away shot, so we're taking a look absolutely brilliant. We'll get there in the end, should I say. That there now is virtually ready to shoot. Now what I tell everybody to do, my settings at the minute, I'm going to mess around my settings. My settings in a minute are going to be F5, and we're going to go for 1/50th of a second, which ain't too bad because the light's on. ISO 200, native for this camera obviously. Right, it's going to just move it again a little bit because it keeps moving. I'm trying to get the composition right. That'll do, that's nice. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one picture just to start off, have a look, see what it's like. Because one thing you don't want to do is be stacking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pictures, and obviously the colour's wrong on the back of the picture, or you don't like it, because that's a lot of wasted shots. So take your time at the start, get it right, and then you'll be all right. Let's have a look at that one. So that is quite sharp as it is, but as you can see, the top is out of focus. We want it all in focus, so we're going to have to work around that one. So this is where focus stacking comes in. So what I'm going to do now is, on the rail here, I'm going to focus in right on the very, very, very tip of the flower, right on the very, very, very end here. And then once I've got that on, I'm actually going to back the camera backwards off it, just by a couple of turns. Well, really, 2 turns, 2mm, should I say. Now, if I look again, that's just off focus. So that's perfect, because what we want to do is when I take the series of pictures coming forward, it's going to bring it in focus, and the more I go forward, the more it's going to go into focus. So it should cover everything over the top as well. Fingers crossed. Every single time now I take a picture, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to half turn this. I'm going to half turn the little knob round and then have a look at the picture and then decide how many. This could be a 10-shot one, it could be a 30-shot one, it could be a 50-shot one. We'll have a look, because tending to be the farther away means that really I could have done it at f3 or f4.5 or something, but because it's farther away, the depth is going to work with us anyway and help us out. So what I'm going to do is just like say, we're going to go from here, and I'll explain when I get closer up on the next ones about depth of field. 2-second timer. Then what we want to do then is just take your first picture, half a turn, 2, 3, 4, 10, and I'm going to have a quick look at it, see what it looks like. Now it's still going to need more than that, so I'm going to go another 10. Half turn, 1, 2, 3, 10. Take another look. Now I know that's all in focus now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this into an editing software. Another price you've got to think about if you want to do focus stacking. It's okay buying this and buying that and whatever, but you've got to think, you've got to buy something like Helicon Focus Stack. You can do it in Photoshop, but Helicon seems to be best, or Luminar Nero to keep the stacking in one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pictures up of the stacks now and try and explain to you, and then we're going to look at the final picture, and then we'll do a close-up one. So what did you think of that picture? Did it make a difference, do you think? Is it really worth focus stacking for? Right, I'm going to reset this back on 90. The reason why I set this on 90 is because I know sometimes when I focus stack, I can roughly work out the depth of the subject, meaning that I can think that's going to be 15 mil, so I know how many turns I'm going to turn it to. That's all that is, but it just keeps a mental mind on it. Let's get a bit closer now and let's see if this is going to make any difference anyway. Right, here we go again. Right, got to set the subject up. Ooh, actually, I'm going to do that. Right, I've gone closer. I'm just going to have a quick look to see how dark the picture is, because obviously the closer we get now I'm going to have to add the aperture up a little bit more. I possibly could get away with f5, but the trouble is I'm going to need a lot of stacks to get it. But I'll just have a quick look and see. So I'm going to take a picture. No, it's too dark. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to opt to slow my shutter speed down. I've just changed my settings to 125 a second, f5, ISO 200, and then like it says, I've focused in on it as close as I can and got it right sharp as I can. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to back off like I did before. That's it. Now we're going to start taking shots. This could take a lot more stacks. 1, 2, 3, 13. What I'm looking for at the back of the picture is everything to come into focus and then go out to focus. Once it starts going out to focus, I now got the full stacking. 20 million years later. Right, that's 100 stacks on there. So now I'm going to put these through the software and see how we get. Now don't forget, putting them through the software as well, what you don't think about is you have to denoise them. If they're too noisy, a lot of people denoise up the pictures before they put them in, then they put them all in. You know, it's just a faffing around to me. This is why I don't do a lot of, you know what I mean, focus stacking, or more people do. But let's have a look at this image now. I can really see a very sharp picture, and the lens is sharp anyway, I know that, but the camera's brilliant. But is it really worth all that effort of setting up all this gear, buying extra stuff, buying extra software to get that picture? If you're a professional, then yes, definitely. That is definitely the way to go. You get 100% better pictures. And like I say, all modern day cameras now do in-camera focus stacking. But if you haven't got it, there's nothing saying you can't do it. You can do it. It just means that you've got to get a focus rail, some software to get it to do. And that is really it, to be honest. Make sure you got some good lighting as well. But me personally, I think I'll stay away a bit more until I need to focus stack. To me, I've seen a lot of images on Facebook and social medias, and them taking pictures of flies' eyes, and them absolutely brilliant. You can see all the compounds in the eyes and this extreme macro, and then 300 images and put into Helicon and focus stacked. There's no way you can focus stack a fly's eye if it's alive. So that means that that fly is dead. Obviously they've caught it, and what them tend to do is put them in a box, put them in the fridge or the freezer and kill them. or slow it right the way down. Now, to me, this is happening a lot, and I'm seeing all these images and people getting them going, put the camera up, and they're going, and then you see a picture after. Really? Because an insect won't really stay still in the summer that long for you to do that picture. And another thing is, if you watch Stuart's video as well, he goes out in the middle of the night to do his damselfly shots, because it's dark, them cold, them full of dew, they can't fly off nowhere. This gives him the perfect time to actually get that insect white alive and take the pictures. But let me know what you think about this, about the way people are taking pictures of bees and flies and different insects. Because to me, I just can't figure out how them keeping them still to do a 300 or 400 picture stack, or even a 50 picture stack. The cameras are fast, the flashes are fast, but how many times they're going to fail? I hope you've enjoyed this, and it's like I said, it's one that you've all asked me to do. It's something that I don't do a lot of, but I thought I'd just mention it and touch on it. So if you got to the end of this one and enjoy it, stay safe and happy snapping!